Hi everybody, it's Lori. Welcome to my studio. I'm glad you stopped by. Today's painting is going to be similar to the last couple of the ones that I did. Just different colors and a bit longer than the other ones have been. I wanted to try some different colors and different thoughts and ideas on how to hold the paintbrush and how to create these, I guess, leafy type things, fronds. And as I went along, it's always an experiment for me when I paint. As I went along with the painting, I decided that I didn't like this color or that color together. This didn't, or the other thing didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So you keep going and you keep going and you keep going until you get what you want. And I finally did. And it was a couple hours in the making. However, I cut it right down. I took out all of the times where I was thinking, all of the paint mixing of the different colors and all that kind of stuff. All the paints are just mixed with water, and I did dry layers of it in between one color and another color for the most part, just about every time. There's a few times that I wanted the colors to blend together, so I didn't dry it. But I used the blow dryer on it to dry, and you can do that when the paint's as thin as it is with using a paintbrush like this, because you don't have to worry about it drying too quick on the surface and cracking and all that kind of stuff. But I do like the way it looks at the end, so if you reach a point where I did, where a couple of times I said, ew, what's happening? Please don't give up on me. Hang out till the end if you can, and see the final results, because I think they turned out pretty good. I keep looking at it and I say, yep, that's a good one. I like it. I may gift it to somebody that I know of. But anyway, let's move on from there. I hope you enjoy the painting, and I also hope you enjoy the chat that we're going to have today. If you're enjoying these chats, do let me know. I've had comments from a few people and messaging from other people that they are, and I really appreciate the feedback, because this is my passion. And between the painting and my spiritualism and light working, these are my passions. This, I feel like, is what I have to share. So I hope that you're enjoying them. Just so you're aware, I do share these on my other YouTube channel as well, on my Facebook page. Actually, not my YouTube channel, but my Facebook page. I should probably post these on the other YouTube channel. I have a business called Living with Light and Love, and that's where my spirituality has been. And I'm a hypnotherapist, life coach. That all comes from that Facebook page and stuff. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind. I'll put a link for that in the bottom of in the description on the bottom of this video here today. Okay, I'm starting to stumble on my words. We don't want that. Take a breath, Lori. Anyway, today I wanted to revisit a little bit about how you guys are doing with the things we've talked about so far. If you haven't seen my other videos or listened to my other chats, I invite you to do so. This is, I think, I don't know, the third or fourth. I don't even know. I'm just going with it right now. But you'll see it when you look on my YouTube channel. You'll see, because they're all named very similarly, and it says right in the name that it's paint pouring and pour painting and talk and chat. So, but the heart and brain coherence, I wanted to start and see what you guys are thinking with that. Have you tried it? Have you tried that meditation and joining in with others? And if you don't know, like I said, what exactly I'm talking about, I go into it in a lot more detail on the other video. But to kind of give you an idea of what that means in case you didn't hear about it before or in case you need a refresher on it, we have discovered in science. I am a science and spiritual type of person. I just love the fact that science is finally catching up to our spiritualism. But the heart itself, our hearts, physically, biologically, they do so many amazing things, and it's all done with energy. We are energetic beings living a human experience, and our hearts is where a lot of that energy is. Our hearts and our brains. But little did we realize that it's not our brains that tell our heart what to do. It's our heart that's supposed to be telling what the brain should be doing and how the brain should be thinking. We should be listening to our hearts more often. So people who say they live with their heart on their sleeve, or you're too sentimental, or you're I don't know, you're focused too much on your feelings. That's exactly what you should be doing. That's exactly how our bodies were designed and how our beings were designed, because when we focus on our hearts, we are more focused on the reality of love and um, spiritualism. And I hope you could hear me before. My microphone wasn't where it should have been. Um, and we should really be focused there so that we can bring it all out that way. That's where we get our intuition from. When we focus from our brains, it's more of a focus of that fight or flight thing. Danger. If there's danger, our brains are going to cue us and they're going to send out that adrenaline and cortisol into our bodies and say, you either need to stay and fight this saber-toothed tiger that's coming after you, or you need to run like heck to get out of the way. So, that's important. It was more important back in the day, the ancient times, when there was more fear and we hadn't, and more things to be afraid of, and we hadn't gotten our safety under control, our homes and that sort of thing, and to be able to stay out of the way of things like the saber-toothed tigers. Not that they're here anymore, but you know what I mean. Bears. I was in my car and had a bear run across the road in front of me the other day. First time ever in my life. Startling, let me tell you, it was a big bear and it just tore across the road. I never knew they could run so fast. I had heard they could run that fast, but I wasn't worried because I was in my car. I wasn't afraid, so I didn't, but I was just excited because I had never seen one up close like that. I mean, it was only 20, 30 feet in front of me. That's pretty darn close for an animal that size. Anyway, so when back to the heart brain coherence, if we can focus on our heart, we're going to be able to focus on love and light. And by focusing on love and light, we emanate love and light. And our vibration is raised. It's a higher vibration where love is the main ingredient of that. And it's a lot like vibration is a lot like a radio station, tuning into a radio station. If you choose to tune in to a rock and roll station, you're not going to get that on the easier listening station or the news station. So you've got to turn the dial and focus on the right vibration on the radio channel, the radio dial. Same thing with our bodies and our minds and our hearts. If we want to focus on a higher vibration, we have to focus on our heart and not on our brains and the fear in our brains. Fear is just going to bring our vibration down to that fight or flight and survival mode. And I've got to say that if you watch the news a lot and you really think about it, that's kind of what they're doing to us. That's what they want to do is they want to keep us in that fear mentality. Um, they give you a little human interest, happy day story at the end of the news that's maybe 20, 30 seconds long, and the rest of the half hour or hour, if you're watching the daily news, the 6 o'clock news or whatever, it's all fear based, scary, you know, things. Even the weather. The weather is like, oh, let's talk about the wildfires. Let's talk about the hurricanes. Let's talk about a heat wave. Let's not talk about how beautiful the weather is and how um, happy it is to be on summer vacation, or that the kids are going back to school and they're going to be able to wear their summer clothes, and I don't know, happier thoughts about the weather. Even that's become a fear thing. It's just kind of weird. I don't know if I don't like it. It's always been that way, I guess, but it's become more so, I think, because they're not being totally, truly honest either. Anyway, I don't want to get on the news story again because the news is just something that I can't fathom it. I can't handle it. I don't want to go near it. I don't want to be put into fear every day. But if you want to, you can. You can do it 24 hours a day if you want. Now we can find news 24 hours a day in any flavor you want. You can find CNN, MSNBC, you can find Fox, you can find this, you can find that, anything you want, any flavor you want of the news, and you're going to be able to find it. But it's all going to be fear based and hate based. Be guaranteed of that. And if you talk to somebody who listens to a different type of news, they're going to be hearing something completely different than what you're hearing. And that's what's so weird. That's what's so weird. But anyway, let's get away from that altogether. So, yeah, we want to raise our vibration. And so we can sit back and just close your eyes, even if it's just for 5 minutes before you go to bed at night, and put a finger or your hand or whatever is comfortable for you on your heart, because that will help your brain to focus on your heart as well, so that you don't have anywhere to go but be in your heart, in your center. And when you get there and you're feeling your heart, focus on something or someone that you love dearly, the most love that you can come up with. Even if it's not a person, maybe a pet. If it's not a pet, maybe your warm bed on a cold winter's night, sitting by a warm fire on a cold winter's night, um, sitting in an ice bath on a hot, steamy day. I don't know, whatever you can find that brings you joy and love. And you can really be focused on your heart and the love that you feel in your heart, and make it grow as big and as much as you can. Just focus on whatever it is that you love and build that love, build that energy. And you may feel it tingling through your body and feeling that joyful tingle and excitement because of the love that you're feeling in everything that you do, and the love that you're connecting with in the vibrational world, which we're all vibration. Everything is vibration, everything is made out of energy. We are energetic beings in a human experience. Everything here is energy. Nothing is anything but energy. So you want to connect with that energy and bring the love to it. There's always a lot of people out there that are doing the same thing. We even just not just humans here on this planet, but our guides, our teachers, spiritual teachers in the spirit world, our angels, um, your higher self. We're all doing this from the spirit world as well, from the non physical world. Let's put it that way. It's non physical. They're helping us with this because it's so important. this project of planet Earth advances into the next level of consciousness. And that's what's happening right now. That's what this growth is all about, this enlightenment and this spiritual growth on the planet is all about. And the more we can spread out there, the more others are going to feel it that are struggling at not feeling it and are still struggling in the fear base and the hate base, and just to spread the love and the light. Even if that's not enough for you to spread it to the world for the good of our kids and our grandkids and our own good, consider how much better you will feel when you're in love instead of in hate. When we're in love, it's such a wonderful feeling. When we hate, it's not so wonderful. It doesn't feel good. It gives us upset stomachs, it gives us headaches, it gives us stress, it gives us miserableness. And whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling, we're going to be bringing more of that into our lives and into the lives of people around us. So, I feel like, why would we want to do that? Why would we want to torture ourselves any more than we have to be tortured? This is not an easy planet. This is not an easy time to be alive, because there's so many things that are coming up in our world that are things that we didn't realize were going on, or this human trafficking and the chemicals in our food, and there's just so many things. There's just so many. The prejudice that maybe we didn't all realize was so prevalent. And maybe it's not as prevalent as we think, but it is out there. Or maybe it's not as prevalent as we've been told, but it is out there. And maybe it's more prevalent than we've been told and we've been thinking in the past. Whichever it is and however it is, we need to face it, fix it, and move forward with this better world that we're bringing in. It's just so important. It's so important. It has to be, and it will be. It's just a matter of how much are we going to have to go through in order to get there. The more love and light that's put out in the world, the easier it is going to be for us to get there. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And it hasn't been easy so far. However, it's doable. And we are going to get there. So, if you want to learn a little more about that and how it's done, just, visit that other video of mine and do some research on heart brain coherence, the Heart Institute. They do a lot of that. The Heart Institute, do some research on that. Check in with Greg Braden, especially if you're a science geek like I am. And he is very much involved in that and a scientist as well. And you will hear more about all of that and how it works from them. So, yeah. Last week we talked about self care and how important it is. And I'm wondering how you guys are doing on self care. Are you finding the time for your self care? Have you been able to do some painting this week? And this is one of my best ways of self care, because I just get into my painting and I don't even think about anything else. I just get creative, I play, and focus on it, play some meditation music in the background oftentimes, and just really, art therapy is one of the best kinds of self care that you can get in my world. And chances are, if you're watching this video, then it's your world too. So if you're a painter like I am, that's one of the ways of self care. Meditation is another way. Self care and getting into the heart brain coherence. taking a bath instead of a shower and spending a little time soaking in the Epsom salts with some lavender. Any other ideas that you might have, do drop them into the comments below. I would love to hear your ideas and your thoughts, and so I'm sure would other viewers. It's always a good thing to share what works for us because we're always looking for different ways to do these things, and I would love to have a conversation go on in the comments down there. I would love to see what your thoughts, share ideas back and forth, see you guys share ideas back and forth with each other as well, because we need support groups. And if you're not sitting at home and not having a support group, or if you're not around like-minded people and you don't have a support group, by all means, bring up a conversation. And if you do have a support group, bring up a conversation anyway for those out there that don't, and they really don't know how to start a conversation on here. I would love that. That is my ultimate goal here for this channel. I would love to see that happen. And I think you guys have a lot to offer each other and me. So, yes, please join in the conversation. Before I do these videos, I will usually sit down, well, I always have so far, sit down and do a little meditation of my own. And I talk to my guides and my higher self, and I ask, what should we talk about today? Because a lot of times what happens is they start taking over the conversation while I'm the one with the voice that can go on this recorder. They're the ones with the best ideas and thoughts. So a lot of times they will come out with their way, and I have gotten used to stepping aside and letting them do that. It's been going on in my world for years. I caught myself doing that for the first time in my 20s, and realized that when I walked away from the conversation I was having with someone that I knew, I realized that I had stepped aside, and it was like I was watching the conversation happen. I didn't know what I was going to say next because it wasn't really coming out of me. I guess that's what channeling is about. So I'd like to think that that happens every time I get on here and record a video and record the recording to go over the video. And I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. When I get done here, I will sit back and think about it and contemplate on it, and I will know whether it did or not this time. So far it has, every time I've done one of these, so let's hope for the best today. And but one of the things that they said that we should talk about today is the sleepless nights. I have sleepless nights all the time. All the time. I have a hard time going to sleep, even if I do go to sleep, and if I can get myself to go to sleep early because I'm exhausted because I haven't slept in days. I will inevitably, most nights, wake up again at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and be awake. And I'm wide awake. Wide awake. I could be so overtired that I can't settle down, and then by the time I get to the point where I can settle down, a couple of hours have passed, and then before I lay down, I wake up wide awake again. It's a very common thing for those of us who have been going through spiritual awakening, are spiritual, have an inclination for wanting knowledge, seeking knowledge about all of this. It's the quiet time of the day when nothing else is going on. Generally, everyone else in the household is asleep. You can't get up and feel like you got to start cleaning the house or doing the laundry or anything like that because you don't want to disturb the whole household. So you don't really have a choice but to sit there and in silence. And when you're sitting there in silence is when the non-physical folk are going to talk to you. be it your angels, your guides, your higher self, um, whatever it is that you like to speak to and listen to, however you get your intuition. They want to talk to you. They want you to spend some time with them. They have things that they want, ideas that they want to get across, that kind of thing. And that is the time of the day when they can get your attention. So they're going to keep you awake. And it happens to all of us. So if you're one of these people that is going through this or gone through that, um, I mean, it doesn't happen every single day, at least to me. There are days that I do sleep. Obviously, I tell them, I gotta sleep. I can't even think straight. I can't make sense of anything. I don't even remember my name anymore. So they tend to let me sleep when I get to that point. They know, but because they love me, I know they do. There's nothing but love on the other side in the spirit world or the non-physical world. But I sit with them and I ask them to before I do these videos about what I want to talk about. But you can always do that in the morning. What should I know for the day? What do you want me to know today? And just be silent for a minute. It doesn't generally take very long. They will come up and speak out pretty much right away with me. And I'm sure with most people they do. And if they don't, then just give it a minute, and get a pen and paper ready. Maybe you're the type of person that needs to write things down, and maybe you're just going to start writing something and just keep writing. As long as there's something in your head that you want to put down on paper. That's kind of a neat way to do it, too, because then you can read back on it later. Because I've done that a lot, and you can read back on it later, and you get even more insight later on onto what they're trying to tell you. And it's really pretty cool. Um, there are some times that what I write down just sounds really off the wall. And I learned this when I was doing classes for being a psychic medium. And one of the main things that they taught me was, don't discount anything that comes through because you don't know what it's going to mean to the other person. Well, you don't know what it's going to mean to you next week or next month either. So write it down or put it a note someplace or something, anything, so that you can look back at it later. You might find that that's very, very helpful. I have found that it is very, very helpful for me. A lot of people have asked me, and it's a question I think we all ask ourselves at one point or another, but how do you know that it's your higher self or your guides talking to you and it's not you making it up? That's a very valid question. And you don't unless you really focus on it. It's something that you have to kind of pay attention to. I know with a lot of people and with myself, I discovered that when I'm talking to myself, it comes out to me in words, regular sentences. I talk to myself in the same way I would talk to you. But when spirit is talking to me, whether it's my guides or my higher self or again my angels, when they're talking to me, it comes in a block of thought. And I'll start putting words to it right away in my head because that's how my head works as a human being. But then I stop and I realize, wait a minute, I don't need to put the words to that. So I know this really came from spirit. So then I talk to myself some more and I put the words to it so it makes more sense to me and so I can comprehend it a little better in the way that we're used to comprehending as humans, in words, in language, instead of thoughts. But that is how I can tell. And I think that that's probably pretty common with most people. That would be my guess. On my way doing errands today, I was listening. I was doing errands before I started doing this recording, and I was listening to a woman, Dolores Cannon. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her work. She is or was a hypnotherapist. who she'd been working from the early 60s all the way up until recently when she transitioned. And she was helping people with the normal, hypnotherapy stuff back in the 60s, the early 60s, with cigarette cessation and losing weight and, the normal things that anybody would go to a hypnotherapist for. And it ended up that she had people going back to find out why this things were such a hang up. They would be going back to previous lives and even in between lives and things like that. And it just, she went with it. And she learned so much over the years that she got in touch with the people's subconscious mind, which is coined as the part of our mind that is connected to spirit and will bring in the information from the non-physical. And it's the things that she comes up with are just, the things she's learned are amazing. I am reading one of her books right now. I've been listening to her different YouTube videos that they've put out of hers. Um, and she's just very, very interesting. I don't know if you're interested in that kind of thing. Maybe I find her so interesting because being a hypnotherapist myself, I think it's pretty fascinating how she got to this point. But she was saying that one of her patients, subconscious, had said to her, they were talking on this same subject about, the different ways that they communicate. And they said, you humans, you talk. It takes you so long to get a concept through to someone else. You have to put one word after the other and you have to string them along and keep explaining yourself until you get to a point where the other person is kind of understanding what you're trying to say. It doesn't take that long for us because we don't use language like that. We, with telepathic things, the way we communicate is telepathically. We can send an entire concept to you, an entire concept, the whole thing, in seconds, where it would take you forever. For example, to explain of exactly what this subconscious meant, this entity, think of the word Christmas. You've shortened it down to Xmas. What does that mean to you? It's not just a word. It's not one that you really have to add to. It's a concept. Christmas means lights and Jesus' birth and Christmas trees and gifts and food and shopping and children with starry eyes and, the whole thing. When you say the word Christmas, you've got the whole concept of Christmas built into that one word. Normally, with most everything we talk about, we don't do that. But that is what telepathic communication is. So they don't need a language. Doesn't matter if you speak English or Italian or Spanish, you're going to get that concept in your mind and you can put it into the words that you would normally use, which is really, I thought it was really interesting to hear it put that way. And it made a lot of sense to me. But anyway, that's what I was off on a tangent about here as far as that goes. But another thing with the sleepless nights, getting back to the sleepless nights, I have found that, like last night, it was the 2 nights before that, I had gotten a total of about 3 hours of sleep between the 2 nights. I was totally exhausted. And I was overtired to the point that I just could not really settle down. So I turned on an Om mantra. Om is a word that I'm sure many of you have heard of. It's a Sanskrit word that is a spiritual word. It really doesn't have a word for word meaning in the English language or actually any language. I actually did try and look it up on Google Translate before I made this recording here today, and there was no translation in any language. So I found, I suspected that. I remember learning that years ago, but I wanted to double check and see if anything had changed with that, or, any more information was put on the web about it. But no, it's a sound wave, it's a sound healing, it's a sound of healing and spiritualness. Um, it's a way to heal both spiritually, physically, emotionally, body, mind, and soul. I went onto the internet and I searched Om mantras. Om is spelled O-M. Om mantras. And I found one that I really love. It's Om So Hum. It's one that it's very, very, very powerful. I suffer from fibromyalgia, and when I'm not paying attention and I go ahead and let myself live in my head and live in fear and get tensed up and stressed, I will get worse. And when I'm not like that, I feel a whole heck of a lot better. So I can actually function to a point. But I played that mantra. There were several of them when I searched Om mantras in YouTube last night. There were several of them that were the Om So Hum. And I chose one that was because I prefer the choir type in that. And I played it in the background and I went right to sleep. Right to sleep. And I slept like a baby for 8 hours straight. Woke up once to use the ladies' room. Too much information, I know. But that was it. Went right back to sleep. My dog, who wasn't feeling well yesterday, she woke up this morning feeling a whole lot better herself. She's back to her old self. And I just know that that mantra helped her as well because it's sound healing. It's one of the many ways that you can get healing without medicine, because medicines are all a lot of poisons too. There's a place for them. I take medicines too, but I would much rather do a natural type of a healing myself, and that's my focus. But anyway, that's something to think about. If you guys have any way that you do these things and deal with your sleepless nights that work for you, please again share them with us. I'm always looking for other ways to try and get some sleep because sleep is prime. We all need sleep. And as much as I love that time at night to spend with my higher self and my guides and myself, I do need sleep. So I also try to find some time to spend with myself during the day so that I can um, maybe not need it so much in the middle of the night. It is what it is. If I need it, I need it, and I'm going to do it. Whatever, I don't have a choice. But anyway, I think that's about all I have to say today. I'm not done painting yet, as you can see. So I'm going to put on some music for the rest of the video, and you can listen from there. And we'll talk again next week. Bye.